Oh, my name is Seamus Johnston, and I'm going to be pitching you Parka. Now, you might be wondering, why am I sitting at a poker table rather than at Wharton? And the reason being is that we were not allowed to film our Wharton pitch competition pitches, and so I decided just to do it on my own, the same way I did it at the pitch competition where we won. So I'll just go ahead. This is Parka, the automated parking meter app and company that both offers business to government and to consumers. Well, before we talk about anything, let's talk about the core problem here. So what is the problem? Well, let's see if you can find it. Now, of course, they're not real because you're a phone, but if you were here, you would look at this and you would think, okay, all these cars are in front of a parking meter, right? What do you notice? Well, if you look very closely, there's red on each of these meters. When I was at Wharton on a Tuesday, I tasked myself during lunch. I gave myself 30 minutes to go out and find as many illegally parked cars as possible, as many. I found around 12, and that's around $75 per ticket, around $1,300 the city is losing in just 30 minutes because of their parking meters. But not only that is the problem. There is a problem to the problem that I like to call, and that is the meter maids. Now, meter maids do more than just look at parking meters, but it is literally in their name. Their main goal is to look over these parking meters. So immediately after I found these 12 parked cars, I ran up to this woman here on the street of San Francisco, and I asked her plainly, there are all these tickets that need to be given to these illegally parked cars 2 blocks away from here. How will you manage that? And why hasn't this been done, even though you're sitting here? And she said, well, we'll get to that right away. What I realized is after I stopped asking her and she drove, she parked at another part of the street, and I thought to myself, I wonder why this problem isn't met immediately. And I realized something. Well, we need to change. But it's not just that. How is a parking ticket given? Think about this. This is a ticket from 1960. This is a ticket from 1984. This is a ticket from 2023. Notice any difference? I'll tell you. The only difference is that this one in 2023 was printed by different technology. Everything else is the same. The parking meter maid goes up to your car, puts the ticket underneath your window shield, and you pay it. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Like, we are living in 2025 and we still have people physically walking up to cars and putting the ticket underneath their window shield. It just seemed a little lucrative to me, and it seemed like could be very, very easily automated. But not just that. What could we use that hasn't been used yet for parking tickets? Well, guess what? The mail. Who would have thought, right? The mail, the United States Postal Service, has done parking tickets for years, but not the ones that you're thinking, not parking meters, but speeding tickets. You might be thinking of license plate readers, where a ticket has been given to someone who might go past a red light. That is a license plate reader, and those tickets are shipped in the mail. We'll basically be doing that same thing, but for meters. But not only that, but how do we find meters in cities? That's a big issue too, is how can we find meters? The only way to find a parking meter, an open parking meter in a city, is to use your eyes, or maybe a long telescope. But still, there are really no good ways for us to be able to locate free meters in the city. So our app Parka shows you every single possible place for parking meters, just like Lime would. On top of that, let's talk about stealing cars. Auto theft is on the rise, and it is one of the most biggest issues in cities. If someone wants to go to a Giants game in San Francisco and they have to fear about leaving their car in front of a parking meter because it might be stolen, that's a big issue. So all we do is something very simple, is if your car leaves your parking spot, we notify you. That's it. Just like how if Ring notifies you if someone goes up to your door, it doesn't call the police immediately, it just notifies you. So this means that if your car is taken or leaves the parking spot while you're in a Giants game, you might be thinking, well, my car just got stolen, so therefore I need to call the police. And that allows immediate reaction. Rather, the current stage of auto theft takes 3 to 5 hours for people to find out. That is a long window for people to get away. Not only that, but the payment system. Let's talk about that. A big reason why people don't want to pay for parking meters is because they're not going to use all the time they pay for. Think about it. name a time in which you have used a parking meter for the exact amount of time you pay for it. So let's say you pay for an hour and a half. Are you really going to get back at exactly an hour and a half? I mean, it would be strange if when you use a Lime scooter, you use it for an hour, you pay for an hour, and then you might not need to use that full hour, right? So that's why Lime, they pay per minute. So does taxis, so does international calls. All we do is we take that very, very hard experience of not wanting to pay more, but wanting to pay the exact amount and turn it into minutes. So it's a pay per minute strategy. So what are the problems versus solutions? If you forget everything today, just know this. People are not paying for parking. People can't find parking in cities. People feel unsafe parking in cities, and people pay more than they need for parking meters. For the solutions, pretty simple. Just 4. A license plate reader that you take a photo, sends it through the mail. A map on app of open meters in your city, so you can immediately open the app, press the meter, and you get directions to that meter that's open. Get notification updates on your car. So that means if your car gets stolen, you get notified. And you pay per minute rather than pay for time or excess time. Now it's time for the market analysis and competition. So there's a lot of competition in parking meters. Most parking meters, they run through contracts. So most contracts are awarded like a pitch competition in cities. So San Francisco would say, okay, give us 10 parking meter companies, and then they will pitch, and then we'll pick the one that we like the best. Right now, the biggest one for contract parking companies is IPS Group. It's a very old company, but the issue is that they're very low tech, because they realize that they can leverage these contracts that they've built over the cities for years without having to update their features, because cities trust what they're used to, but what they're used to isn't good, and that's what we need to fix. Now, the best company that's gotten close is Metropolis and Park Mobile. Metropolis has not only found a way to find real-time spot visibility, but also has that auto billing on parking. But it's not AI powered, does not violate for people who aren't paying, and they're not solar powered. We're solar powered, so which means that we literally use 0 energy, no cables running in underneath the ground, entirely solar powered. And that is a big thing that not a lot of meter companies are doing right now. So what is our business analysis business model campus? Well, first we have key partners. So the key partners in this would be the City of San Francisco, Halo cameras, mobile payment platforms, solar panel suppliers, app development firms. Now the cost structure. What is our costs? That's hardware, app and tech infrastructure and updates, and that's staff and support. Now, since we are an app, we would have less staff than the average company, and especially the average meter company, but still. Key activities. Install and manage smart meters. While some contracts we might sign with cities might mean that they operate ours or we operate ours. App development and updates, that's something that we will always have to handle, and we are more than inclined to do. And license scanning and enforcement. So we won't do the enforcement, but we will do the license scanning. Keyword resources. So smart meters, which is what I just pitched. The mobile app where you find, and the license scanning tech. The value propositions is auto theft deterrence via 180-degree cameras, solar-powered sustainability, and help cities recover unpaid fees. San Francisco has nearly $20 million in unpaid parking meters. That's a lot of money. We could basically not allow that to happen again. Customer relationship, in-app support and notifications, Park Pass loyalty systems. We might have certain tiers that you subscribe to, customer segments, citizens, city agents, things like that. And then revenue sources, there's a couple here. The first one is digital transaction fees. So when you pay for a parking meter, we get a percentage of that transaction fee. Park Pass subscriptions, so seeing extra information, but also enforcement fines. It turns out that if you are a company that helps with these fines, you can get somewhat a percentage of those fines. And so we would actually make a lot of money with people not paying. And so, yeah. SWOT analysis. So I'll just give you the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. The strength is automated enforcement. So we don't need really that many meter maids to manage these meters, but rather manage what really matters, which is traffic collisions and parades and things like that they most times manage. Also, Apple GPS and QR code payments, just like you would with Lime. The weaknesses is high upfront manufacturing. So it's going to be a hard startup in the sense where it's going to cost a lot of money. But so did SpaceX and Tesla. This is not a first. And I think that just because it's a weakness does not mean that we should not do it. But I think that it is a weakness because it does cost a good amount of money and capital. Potential resistance from entrenched municipal cities. So right now there's a lot of debate about, flock cameras and license plate readers, but this is entirely different. All it has to do is just monitor your car. But this could be construed as that. Now, what are some opportunities? Well, dynamic pricing for high demand events. So let's say you have a Giants game, right? And those parking meters will probably be more expensive that day because of the fact that there's a Giants game. So we'll make them more expensive. There are threats. Competition evolving. That's always a threat with these types of meter companies, is whether or not your competition evolves. And these meter companies out there have had a lot of skin in the game. So they might be able to adjust. But if we secure contracts early, that means that we could be sustainable. Market size and trends. So our total addressable market is around $40 billion a year. That's global on street parking, smart meter, and industry. Our serviceable addressable market is around $5 billion per year, and that's U.S. cities with smart infrastructure plus parking needs. Now, our service attainable market would be about $18 million per year. That's pilot cities like San Francisco or Denver, targeting just 10% of meters, just 10. What are some trends? Well, SAM, $5 billion per year. SF total parking meter revenue is roughly $50 to $80 million per year. That's how much money San Francisco meter companies make. SFMTA, which is their meter company organization within the city and county of San Francisco, collected is about $56 million. That's in terms of fines and payments and things like that. That's a lot of money. Total potential market, again, $40 billion. That shows entire global. It's hard to calculate, but still, it's a lot. And the SOM, which is $18 million a year, is just 10% of SF meters. Just 10%. As a new Parka aims to capture just 10% of San Francisco parking meters market. But that's not just it. So compound annual growth rate. So in 2025, we say that we'll get about $18 million. These are how most first contracts with cities go, is you get about a good hefty sum of money in the start of those contracts. But then I think we'll grow. I think we will have a compounding CAGR of about 94.6%, give or take, and about $500 million in the next 5 years, which is 28 times in growth. It's a really big margin there, especially if our technology takes fast with users, both people who want to download the app and cities who want to use our meters. Those are two very big portions here. So MVP and park design. So let me go ahead and just jump in. So this right here is the parking meter design that we made. This is something that we used with CAD, and we put together things like solar panels, screen technology with touch, contactless pay, the camera at the bottom there that would scan your license plate immediately when you put your car on top of the plate. And so yeah, on top of that, the license plate reading demo. So unfortunately, since my phone is literally filming, I can't use the demo. I can't do the demo, but I'll show you what it looks like. So basically, you have a license plate that gets parked. Let's pretend this is your car right here. It gets parked. It then reads the license plate, gives you the exact number of that license plate, and it starts a timer, just like that. You have about a minute to pay before it sends you a bill in the mail, but only up until you arrive back at the vehicle. So it gives you a bill for the exact amount of time that you stayed in that parking spot. And it doubles the price. So we make twice as much because of the fact that you parked legally. And that is the license plate demo. Now the app. So again, since my phone is there, I can't show the app, but basically it just works just like mine, where you can scan you can download the app, scan the QR code, and then you can get access to a network of meters in San Francisco where you can basically press one and drive to it. Of course, these are demo locations. They're not real meters, but it just shows you what it would feel like to experience this app. So material use and unit economics. So since it's a physical product, and it's a technology product, it's going to require a lot of different types of technology. So, aluminum, touchscreen displays, solar panels, cameras, mounting, enclosure, fabrication, cellular connectivity module, like all of this. But in total, it would be between $381 to $600, which is not bad. That's about half the cost of the meters that get installed today. So we still make our money back. And installation and uninstallation does cost money, and actually is the bulk of the cost. But sometimes cities cover that with meter contracts. So unit economics, what we charge. So we charge about 10 cents per minute. That's the average rate if you were going to dumb down how much it costs to park at a meter. And customer life expectancy, we expect 2 to 6 years. But then again, our customer acquisition is a little bit forced, where if you're going to park downtown, you're going to park downtown. And it's not like you can either use Airbnb or Vrbo. It's like we own the contract, so you have to park at our meters. But we still say about 2 to 6 years, depending on how people like our meters. Customer user lifetime, use time expectancy. The average time someone parks on a meter is around 30 minutes, which is funny because that's not how most meter companies charge. They charge by the hour. And cost for contract negotiation, compliance, terms, etc. About $25,000. That includes lawyers and patents and all of that. And approximately 27,000 parking meters in the city of SF would cost around $80,000, 0.9443 per minute spent on contracts. That's a really good return on investment. And app development would be about $80,000, but we might do it in-house. And so if it's in-house, that's a lot less, especially for bootstrapping. Now the profit. So the profit would be about $1,140 per meter over 2 years. Estimated revenue of between 15 to 16 mil per year in SF with those meters. This is just San Francisco. Just San Francisco. So we would already make our money back in about 30 days on our initial investment with these parking meters. That's a very, very good thing. Feedback from government. So through our experience, we were able to interview lots of people in government. And one of those was Scott Burton. He is a transportation planner in Denver with 15 years of experience in curbside planning, policy, and public engagement. And the problems that he mentioned was basically like, in terms of Denver's parking issues, is low compliance, neutral manual enforcement, and no real-time data. So there's no real-time data on people who are parking illegally, and there's manual enforcement, which means people physically have to go. And that's not uncommon. The feedback is he believes that Parka can improve efficiency and revenue for Denver. He really, really does think that Parka can beneficially help the people. We also met with SFMTA, which is San Francisco's meter organization. And we met with some of the leaders of this organization. And what we realized was problems mentioned were parking systems struggle with vandalism. That's actually a big issue, is people break parking meters. But not only that, but outdated tech, high cost, low revenue, and enforcement inefficiencies. Every city is having enforcement inefficiencies with their parking meters. So their feedback is support, pay per minute, and real-time tracking is literally what they will call the holy grail of what they're looking for a parking meter. They literally said, end quote, the holy grail is basically our idea. Concerns, costs, access of data, legitimacy. What they're really looking for is a legitimate business, something that they can trust. And possibility for setting up a permit. They said that they would be open to that. Now, we also met with the mayor of Denver. And rather than hearing his thoughts from us, hear it from him, the person who gave us an outreach and told us exactly what he thought about our idea.
Hey, Parka team, thanks for the pitch on your product. I'll give you a little bit of feedback. Here's what I think is really exciting about the idea. I've talked to a number of other mayors, Mayor of Kansas City, San Jose, San Francisco. And none of us have this technology, and all of us want it. If we had a tool that would allow us to not have to have humans patrol every single meter, if you could get cameras installed that would collect fees, they could assign fines if people overstayed, and could send them directly to people's houses, that would be a game changer for us. I think the key to work on is if you can actually get the permissions to be able to link the license plate to a home address to send the bill directly, There are no cities that have parking meters that do that. Right now, we do have highways that do it, so we know it's possible, but we haven't got it set up for meters. If you could close that loop and make that connection possible so the camera sends a bill straight to your house, that would be a huge savings for cities. I think you'd have a lot of willing clients to purchase it. So look forward to see what you come up with. Really excited about the prospects.
And that's just a little bit of the feedback that we received from not only state officials, but even the leaders of these cities. This is a big problem, and Parka is the solution. So thank you, and any questions? I know you probably can't answer that because you're a phone, but still, thank you.